Three, two, one. Welcome to Abundance, a podcast program about the abundance mindset. My name is Zhou Fang. I am your host. Together, we will explore the abundance mindset and practice together. Welcome aboard. Hello there. Welcome back to Abundance, a podcast program about the world of abundance, the abundance mindset, and the practice of it. I am your host and teacher, Zhou Fang. Today, we're going to talk about scarcity again. And specifically, I would like to discuss bitterness and resentment. And those two words are pretty strong words, I feel. When you say, I feel bitter about something and I resent you, or I am resentful of what happened, they feel, of course, bitter, but they also feel achy. Like, I don't like this feeling, but I cannot shake it off. It's somehow this bitterness and resentment feels sticky. Like it makes me feel like, I want to shake it off, but somehow I can't. I think oftentimes when we feel bitter or resentful of someone or about a situation or of something is because we couldn't communicate. Well, we cannot communicate how we feel, how the experience was to us. Or the other side was either defensive or misunderstanding. They couldn't understand what was going on, or they have their kind of gate or their door closed, or there is a war between you and this other person or the situation. And sometimes that happens in between systems as well. Like as a person, as a community member, when the system doesn't work for us, we feel resentful and we feel bitter. And that also comes from sometimes when we take things personally, right? Like sometimes it's not really about us. It's about, it can be the system, it can be the experience these other people had before, and that left a mark on them. And when you interact with this person, they somehow become reactive because it reminded them of something before that was unpleasant or painful. Or, we grew up in some kind of patterns. If we came from a family dynamic that is not good with communication, or that is defensive or was defensive, then all we know is I need to guard myself. I need to put my fence up. I need to defend myself. So that shows up at workplace, in family, in community, etc. And I think when we are unable to communicate clearly and kindly and with kind of compassion and empathy, then that very much easily leads to miscommunication or conflict or defensiveness. Some people will get into this fight or flight state, right? Like, am I going to fight or am I going to escape? Am I going to get out? But regardless of your kind of method, are you going to engage or disengage? If we don't communicate properly, then it leaves at least one person in this situation, and sometimes two or more, feel disrespected or feel unheard, and make them feel bitter about the situation, especially when it's like unsolved or just undressed, kind of abandoned, right? And then resentment can build up, especially at workplace or at family, because one person can always say, like, you always say that, or I've always done more than you, or at work say, why am I always the person taking notes, for example? Why do I always end up ordering lunch? Or why do I never get to speak my mind at meetings? Or even if I do speak my mind, I'm not taken seriously. Or I do have this really good idea for us, for this project, for this design, for this client. But I don't get to be taken seriously. My voice is not important. I'm not heard. So that when that happens over and over, resentment builds up. And that happens in family too, right? Like who is taking care of the pets, who is taking care of the children, who is doing most of the tasks, who is doing most of the chores, who is always the person, having to be the bad parent, or who is always get to be, I don't know, the fun parent. Your kind of your roles, like who do you always get to be, that can always kind of lead to interesting family dynamics, and that can lead to resentment and feel kind of like unheard or disrespected. I think that is scarcity. Why? Because it indicates a lack of understanding, a lack of communication, or a lack of willingness to engage, to break the ice, to talk things through, to sit down and have a conversation. And also, when someone realizes, actually, you know what, I did mess up. I made a mistake. That was my fault. I should never have said that. I should never have done that. And I am sorry. Like the lack of accountability and apology also leads to bitterness and resentment. And I think the lack of communications, the lack of respect, the lack of accountability and apology, that is a scarcity. That means we are afraid, that we are fearful, we are not courageous enough to engage, to encounter, to figure it out, to talk things through, to work together, to solve a problem, to manage a conflict, or even, solve or resolve a conflict, etc. And so underlying that bitterness and resentment oftentimes is fear. Is being afraid of saying something that's like wrong, or a lack of willingness to engage in a, say, constructive dialogue or conversation, or have that courage to receive feedback, right? And not be reactive. Oh, like, hey, so and so, like, I noticed there are these things you put in this project or proposal that are not very aligned with, what we say we're gonna do. And if this person is like defensive or kind of like unwilling to admit that they made a mistake, then that could very much lead to conflict and resentment. And the thing is, having accountability and being able to apologize is actually a really cool thing to do. It's very freeing. It's liberating in a lot of ways. It makes me feel like, oh yeah, it is okay to make a mistake. And that actually leads to abundance, which is problem solving, right? Like breaking ice and being able to figure things out together, being able to collaborate, being able to work together. That is the opposite of fear-driven or scarcity-driven conflict kind of management, or the lack of. So that's why I wanted to talk about bitterness and resentment, is because under the kind of symptoms is fear. And I really would love for us to think about, what are you afraid of? Why are you fearful? What is it that makes you reactive or defensive? And why do you feel bitter about it? And why are you resentful of certain things? And if you can think about Actually, I would love to have a conversation with this coworker. I would love to sit down and chat with my partner or even with my parents and talk about the things that we never addressed before. And hopefully, by some very necessary and yet difficult conversations, by having some of those necessary and difficult conversations, we can show each other kindness and compassion, and being able to reach to a place where we are like, you know what, that was on me, I'm sorry, and I will do a better job. And then the other person can say, I hear you, and I'm really glad that we reached to this kind of consensus, and let's move forward and let's grow together. And I'm not perfect either, and I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn together and to grow together. And I think that's just so beautiful. That's such a beautiful thing to do, and I would love to see that happen more and more, so that we are not trapped in that scarcity mindset. Instead, we're embracing the abundance mindset and can actually practice in our day-to-day life, either at work, at home, in community, etc. So if this episode resonates, please hit like, please leave your comments and reflection, and would love to see what you think about it or learn about it. And please share it with your friends and family. Please also subscribe, and please turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any content. And also, we'll have all the information in the show notes for you as well. And I really believe that abundance belongs to us all. And I would love to continue to build this village of abundance with you all. And next time, we're going to go back to abundance, of course. And we're going to talk about something that's very relatable and relevant in our lives, and to see how we can continue to practice the abundance mindset together. So until next time, take care and thank you.